glad you enjoy it. We will see you the day of the event.
So we're sitting here.
So the reason we're sitting here today, freezing our butts off, is to introduce an enormous project, probably the biggest project we've ever made here at Gilbertsville, which is to redo our iconic chandelier barn. And this barn has gone through so many evolutions, and this is going to be its biggest. It's almost going to be unrecognizable by the end. And I think that's the emotional part for us, because this was such a staple of the property.
I feel like it almost it almost like symbolizes the evolution of the venue.
Yeah.
First of all, this barn, when we first bought the property, this was a former dairy farm. It was actually a functioning dairy farm when we first came to see it, and the farmer was retiring and sold it to us. This barn was actually built by the former owner with wood harvested from this property after the original barn had blown down in a hurricane.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
In a hurricane.
Yeah, in a hurricane. And so they harvested wood from this property and rebuilt the barn, and this is what this is the actual rebuilt version, which is probably at this point today, I would say like 70 years old. So this barn is about 70 years old. And when we bought it, the shell was here, but the inside was.
Yeah, so it was like a post and beam, right? So the planks were here, and when, I don't know if there's a fun fact about wood.
It was all dirt.
When you mill wood, it was dirt floors, and when you mill wood, it's wet. So when wood dries, it shrinks, and so they used like wet wood to, brand new wood to make the barn, and it shrunk. And one of the cool features of the original barn were that you could see the light through it. So obviously it was uninsulated, and it's literally the difference between you and the barn was the outside is one plank of wood. You could see outside. And actually, before the kitchen was here, we could actually post a picture that you could see the field. Like the light from the field. It was beautiful, but of course, you evolve,
and it's funny because with every evolution, it is emotional, because you appreciate what the barn was before, right? The change.
Like you're sacrificing a cool original feature.
Exactly. I remember when we were going to cover those spaces, it took me a long time to get on board with that, because I loved that feature.
Yeah.
But of course, we'd sacrifice that feature for something, even better in the experience. And now I look at the barn and I don't miss it. It looks beautiful, and it's just cool to look back and think that we were so worried, and and still move forward.
Okay.
The first evolution was changing, which that one I didn't resist, because the barn was dirt floor and had it was a hay barn, and obviously we had to, repurpose it, which we did, and it came out beautifully. And we had those see-through, those the post and beam with just the planks and being able to see. So the first evolution, I think, was after just repurposing it, was insulating and sacrificing that style for something that was more functionable.
Yeah,
Is that a word? Functionable?
Functional.
Functional. And then we, in our true Gilbertsville style, added a lot of kind of sophisticated, features. Thank you. So our signature chandeliers, beautiful crystal chandeliers that decorate this barn side to side. No, I was just, my point was 5%. To say that it was interesting. It's just interesting as you let go. It's like bittersweet, right? There's so much, there's emotion, right? There's like that appreciation for what it was. There's the fear of change. Mm-hmm. And then, you overcome that to create something that's ever evolving and works better, year after year.
Yeah.
And so now we are on our
So we're on our
third evolution, but this is like the biggest one.
Yeah. So we're expanding the barn. So the barn originally sat 200 very tight, but you could do it. And now we are expanding to fit 300 very tight. We don't recommend it, but you could do up to 250 very comfortable in here now. And we're basically closing off and extending our barn into our pergola. So the pergola is going to have giant bifold doors that are going to open completely so that you're still going to get that pergola effect. There will be a whole wall of glass about 8 feet tall. And then that is an indoor space that your guests will be able to sit in as well.
Yeah, so originally the barn is almost 30 by 100 space that one of the evolutions was that we added wall-to-wall French doors to the barn, and then that opened up to an outdoor patio, which 2 years ago we covered with a roof. So we had a covered outdoor patio that the barn opened up to. Now, for this year, we are taking that covered patio and enclosing it with wall-to-wall bifold doors.
We took the wall down in between the patio and our original wall.
And we're incorporating that space into the footprint of the barn now.
Right. And then, so now the barn, instead of being 30 wide, is going to be about 45 wide by 100.
Right.
With an alcove of 20 by 20 on the other side for your band or DJ. And we are also closing the roof so that it's not exposed and feels less industrial. We are making different new rafters and collar ties to have a more aesthetic approach rather than a raw space. There will be more rigging points for decor.
What we are doing in
modernizing.
Yeah, in the gist of what we're doing is modernizing and bringing the barn up to a more modern look that I think couples are looking for. I think that the appeal of the barn, obviously everybody knows that barn venues were a trend 10 years ago. And that although that trend continues and the appeal of a barn venue or a rustic venue or an outdoorsy venue, I think the appeal of all that is what people are after when they're looking for a venue like that still applies. But I think there is an evolution, and I think there's a modernization of that style. And our goal is to keep up with that trend and move our venue into. So for the 2025 season, we are taking our covered outdoor patio, closing it up with wall-to-wall bifold doors, and incorporating that space into the footprint of the barn. So the existing wall that existed prior to a month ago is now down, and the exterior wall is pushed out to those bifold doors. And so the footprint of the barn is enlarging, and the best part is that the side of the barn that faces the back, which is faces the outdoor courtyard, is now wall-to-wall bifold doors, which when open create a huge and seamless indoor-outdoor experience, which no other venue that I am aware of has. And that is, to me, probably such a beautiful feature, because when it allows you so much freedom to spread out and still feel like everybody's in the same space, and also spread out and not have two competing spaces. Like some people are inside the barn or this event space, some people are on the patio, and now it feels like you're in two separate spaces. Here, it's just one huge seamless experience, which is just it's just an incredible game changer for our venue.
So the things that are being done to the barn is that the barn is almost doubling in size. It's going from 3,000 square feet to 4,500 square feet. We are closing off the ceiling for a less industrial look, for a more finished look. We are changing the rafters to be brand new and have a beautiful aesthetic rather than an industrial look. We are obviously seamlessly transitioning the outdoor patio and the floor of our barn to be the same floor. And and we are extending. The extension of the new wall of our barn is going to be all glass, so it's going to look gorgeous. And for the walls of the space, it's going to have a cleaner look. I am honestly so excited about it that I want to surprise you, and I don't want to tell you what that's going to look like, but the interior and the exterior of the barn are going to be completely different. It's going to look insane. And the one thing I will say is that the barn will no longer be red, which I think is, it was a really sweet time, but I think it's time, and we're really excited for a more neutral exterior color, and you'll just have to wait and see what we picked.
Yep. And then also we are still going to have, so because we're incorporating the covered patio into the footprint of the barn now, we are also going to create still a covered outdoor space. There will still be a covered outdoor space with a louvered pergola, which is going to be so cool because you can open the louvers if it's weather is beautiful, and you can adjust or shut them completely if the weather is not cooperating. So it gives you so much flexibility. It's a beautiful modern look, and you still have protected outdoor space, which is crucial when you have an outdoor, or at least part of your experience is an outdoor one. You always want to make sure that you have covered spaces, which doesn't convert your experience to an indoor one, just protects you from the elements.
And lastly, this space, unlike today, will be temperature controlled, which is a big, big, big deal in farm, barn, wedding venues. And we're so excited to be able to provide comfort during those summer months.
Yeah, absolutely.
And during those late fall.
And all of those improvements are going to be done by the end of April, so just in time for the beginning of our 2025 season in May. So stay tuned for updates from all the work that we're doing. We are very excited.
And thank you so much for joining us on our lunch tasting today, and we can't wait to see you here again soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.